This episode of Everything Compliance, Shoutouts and Rants, we have the quartet of Matt Kelly, Jonathan Marks, Tom Fox, and special guest Scott Garland. I know you'll enjoy this episode.
Let us move to fan favorites, shoutouts, and rants. We'll keep the same order. Matt, Jonathan, Scott, and myself. Matt, do you have a shout out and or rant for us today?
Yeah, I have a little bit of both about the crypto sector. I will start by giving a shout out to the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which published an investor warning earlier this week, warning people that these proof of reserve reports that crypto firms like to wave around to say, see, we've got plenty of capital in the bank to support whatever cockamamie crypto thing they're hawking to the investing world out there. Like the PCAOB basically warned people, you understand these proof of reserve reports are really a bunch of hooey worth not much more than the paper they're written on, which for the record, I think most of them aren't even printed anymore. And they're still not worth the electrons that they're printed on, and electrons are free. We have time and again now seen more and more firms in the crypto world that are really just a house of cards. Half the time, I don't get what these crypto things are. Now we are starting to see some banks, such as Silvergate, which was a bank that loaned into the crypto world. So they went belly up earlier this week, which should surprise precisely nobody who has been paying attention, because so much of crypto is still just a scam. There's certainly no consumer protections there. And we have far too many people who are day trading junkies here who think this is the greatest thing since the dot-com era. And look where that ended. I think crypto is going to follow a similar path. I know there'll be a bunch of crypto fanboys who are going to complain about me on Twitter now to say I've got it all wrong. But I am at least glad to see that the PCAOB is sending proper messages to people. I'm glad that the SEC is taking a hard line against crypto firms. And I really just wish more people would pay attention to the fundamentals here. And there are none in crypto. It is, I guess it's just a currency or an investment thing that's based on itself, and the importance of it is that it's important. It's a big circular wackadoo scam, and we really need to crack down on these abuses before they start infecting real economies and real businesses and real banks. Kudos for the PCAOB for at least trying to keep people's eye on the ball.
Jonathan Marks, do you have a shout out and or rant for us today?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird shout out, but I'll make it anyway. Shout out to the House for voting 419 to 0 for declassification of the origins of COVID-19. I think we all have been speculating for a while. I'm curious to see exactly where this all leads, but I think as a society, I think we should understand what's going on. I'm glad the House decided to do that, and where this goes, I do not know, but it's about time somebody made a reasonable decision.
Scott, what do you have for us?
I have a shout out for the Department of Justice. And the reason for that is that the department, as we've been talking about today and in prior episodes, has been revising its policies on monitors, on corporate compliance, on compensation, a whole bunch of different policies. And it's been iterative in that as well. It's started out saying this is what we're going to do, and then they've come out with revisions to that policy, and they're putting more meat on the bones. Having been in Washington, D.C., and having been working for the federal government in the Northeast, it's easy to see how easy it is to announce a policy that is, we're going to be hard on X, we're going to do more on Y, and then do nothing afterwards. Because when you say that you're going to be hard on X or do more on Y, you get the applause, you get the news, and then people forget about it. The hard thing is to stick to the day-to-day blocking and tackling of any sort of issue that besets your agency, but keeping your eye on the long game and the big picture of we actually need to do things that make a difference on a day-to-day basis. And so even if the policies that the Department of Justice are coming up still need revision and still need to be worked out, kudos to them for having a long view, to actually trying to articulate things and do better, and then revising them along the way.
I am going to rant, but I'm going to preface this rant with the following question. What do Portia from The Merchant of Venice, Rosalind from As You Like It, Viola from Twelfth Night, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon from Some Like It Hot, Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie, and George Santos have in common? They're all cross-dressers. And they will now be illegal in the state of Tennessee who is moving to ban cross-dressing in the form of drag shows. So if you like good movies, if you like George Santos, sorry, you can't do it in the great state of Tennessee, or at least they're trying to pass legislation to prevent drag shows, because apparently drag shows are actually grooming sites for getting people to cross-dress. And certainly we saw what happened to Dustin Hoffman when he cross-dressed. He won an Oscar. So to the idiots in the Tennessee legislature, cross-dressing doesn't hurt anybody. We got some great art about it. And if you want to ban Shakespeare, more power to you. Gents, this has been a great episode of Everything Compliance. I can't wait to see what we come up with next time. And special shout out to our guest, Scott Garland.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks. It was great being here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Everything Compliance, Shoutouts and Rants, which is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.